here we are. Here's Super Deluxe, and it started in 2003. Mark opened this place in Ishiazabu, and it was like a second home to me. It was a large club, a live house, unlike most in Tokyo. And there's Mark and some friends, and there's Mike at the bottom there, and there's a kitchen staff making a Christmas turkey. And I started a series of concerts called Morgan's Organ, and this is the flyer for the first one. And Sam played with me at this first concert, and it was incredible because it was a place I felt completely free in, that I could do anything I want, and I wanted to improvise and I wanted to experiment. And that was really encouraged in this place. It was just ripe for that. And here is Super Deluxe. Notice the red stripes on the wall. I'd forgotten about that. The red stripes, like a Japanese Matsuri festival, also just like the Marquee Club in London, where I played in the 60s and 70s. It also had the same red stripes, so I felt very at home. This is one of the concerts where I brought my pipe organ, and standing with me is Mike Kubek, who's the manager of the club, who basically decided what kind of music went on there. And there's pretty bizarre music most of the time. It was a cutting edge place, not only music, but also film and dance and poetry, all kinds of things. So there's one of my keyboard setups. I would take down different keyboards from my collection, and you can't see it on the right because the little windows are in the way. But that's me, where I suddenly knocked my glasses over my head and onto my back. And they stayed there, and someone actually got a photo of it. So I thought, I'm pretty boring to look at just sitting playing. So let's have some visuals while I play. And one category was old movies. I started collecting old copyright-free movies and documentaries, things like that. This is people coming out of a factory 100 years ago in which they would shoot and then show the people the next day. This second category, was old horror movies. And Sam took all these photos, and he caught, just at the right time as the movie was going by, he caught all these amazing faces. So, Super Deluxe had 3 projectors, so you could fill the entire wall with images. Now, one day, 6 years ago, we had a birthday party for Mark. It was his 50th birthday, also with his friend Adam Curry. And they asked me and Sam to play. So once again, we went down there and made a lot of noise. And I like the thing at the bottom there, somebody from Osaka, didn't like Tokyo. Another band who played that night was the 5678s, who are an all-girl retro band. And Mark and Adam joined in with them. And at the bottom, you can see there was a pole dancer as well, who ended up dancing on Mark's shoulders. I joined in with the 5678s for the first time, wearing red like them, but just by coincidence. And now I'm known as Number 9. On the left here is Tarantino, who loved the 5678s as well and put them in Kill Bill. On the right is John Waters, who was a big fan of theirs as well. And he introduced them at some festivals in the States quite recently. Another category of visuals that I showed when I played was my own light paintings, which you see here. And Super Deluxe was open for doing art exhibitions as well, because they had all these huge white walls. In fact, the toilet was one of the best places to see modern art in Tokyo, because it was changing all the time. And here's another example of what I do, a light painting. I don't do computer graphics. I just wave a camera around, basically. That's my style of light painting. A lot of people do light painting where they wave the light around, but I'm more free because anything can be my light. So this was a firework from one of the festivals. Nature has always been a very important visual to me. This is actually in a different club, but I wanted to show it because I think it's a nice photo. And again, I was searching for old movies of nature because I find them much more attractive than the very modern high-tech camera work you see in like David Attenborough programs. So here's a selection of images that I found. Along the bottom, you can see kind of dancing sea slugs. And then along the top, you've got leaves and flowers and some time-lapse photography too. I always found that accompanied my music very well. And people would often say, you know, did you play the music to fit the visuals? And I say, no, it was your mind that made it fit. Here's some of my vintage keyboards. Top left is a Yamaha organ. Top right is a French kalimba. And bottom left is a German tube synthesizer from the 50s. And bottom right is a bunch of toys, because to me, toys are instruments. One of my favorite instruments is on the right here. It's an onduline, which is another valve tube synthesizer, which is the same age as me. So it's from 1950. And the man looking at it, it was the salesman from that time who personally came and checked it out when I had it all refurbished in Paris. So after 100 Morgan's organs, I just thought, you know, I love doing it, but it's time for a change. So we had the finale. And again, I invited Sam to join, plus one of Tokyo's wonderful live painters, Kida Oikawa, who does live painting, means you paint while the band plays. She not only painted the wall, she painted my jacket, my organ. She then went on to paint Sam's shirt while we were playing. And the reason for this was, well, there were a lot more people in the club than there usually were. I usually had about 20 to 40 people. So at this last event, the 100th event, I made a graph, because Morgan's organ started at the same time as PechaKucha, almost the same day. And within 10 years, they'd reached 600 cities. And within 10 years, I'd stayed in one city, because I wasn't in this for expansion. This was a petri dish for making music. Anyway, the last show was packed. And here's the photo that I took of the audience. And it was a wonderful event. And it really was a second home to me, Super Deluxe. Unfortunately, it closed 2 years ago, and we wait for a new something deluxe to come, Mark. Thank you very much. Love you.